give me
Yeah.
that feedback, because I do want to make it as best as possible. And I don't necessarily know what it looks like or sounds like on your end. I did watch back the YouTube video and it sounds very good. So hopefully that's your experience.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear
So
the problem.
I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do class last week. I thought about y'all while I was in my at the SC4A conference and was doing the classes specifically on virtual learning and also collaborating for social isolation. And so I was glad to be able to go to that conference, but hopefully now we can get in the groove of this class and really get started and dive into learning the moves alongside our principles that we've really just that's a lot of what I've talked about. So you know, now it's time to get to the actual movements. So we always start off with warming up our bodies, open and closing our hands. And Miss Gwen, you just interrupt me or let me know anytime you have a question or if you need anything from me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
It's good to see you. I'm glad that you can be at class today along with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to make all of them.
I know. I tell you what, I have been so out of sorts because, you know, with my son graduating high school and going off to college and my daughter starting high school, I feel like my purpose in life is kind of like changing. And I feel this weird, like, identity crisis, I guess. If we're being dramatic, you know, because that's the only dramatic way I know how to describe it is I feel like the way my role in life has changed in terms of being a mom. And so I'm trying to kind of find my ground.
Okay. So is your son the one that you were taking to, was it baseball or soccer?
Yes, but he's playing baseball at Andrew College in Cuthbert, Georgia. Do you know where that is?
I do. I do.
Okay. Well, he refers to it as the cut. I'm learning his lingo. So he was home this weekend and it was good to see him. And now he's back into his new world. And, you know, I'm just here to support him from afar. And it just feels a little bit weird. So I know that your life has gone through some change and transition. And so I'm sensitive to that, knowing, you know, what you've been through this year. And so I guess that the only constant in life is change. Is that's what I keep saying? Like that's the way life is. It changes and we just regroup. And I'll be glad to find my footing in just that new routine. And I know everything is going to be okay, right?
Oh, yeah. We call them seasons.
Seasons? Okay.
Yeah.
Seasons. Well, I'm new at this, so I rely on my wise ones that I know to help me through. But thankfully, we have this time together to just kind of regroup and breathe and slow down and work on whatever benefit you want from Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's get started thinking about our posture. We have a good upright posture, like a string that pulls up and down at the same time. Our feet are about shoulder width or hip width apart, wherever we feel most stable. Shoulders are relaxed. We're conscious of any tension we may be holding. As we take a few deep breaths, we kind of scan through our bodies and check ourselves for tension and let that go if we can. Our goal is to continue breathing throughout our exercise, trying not to hold our breath. And I know that's a challenge. Here we go. Let's start with our neck. Bring our hands up, palms down, towards our chin and chest. Push away from our bodies and follow those hands all the way down. Continuing to breathe. Inhale up, and exhale. Take your time with your breathing, as it will be at a different rate than my breath. This is a neck stretch. As you take that chin to chest. Well, let's stretch our neck in a different way. Starting out that same way. Start here. Drop a hand to your hip. Now follow this hand as you look towards that shoulder. Feeling a little stretch. Coming back to center. Switch hands and go towards that other shoulder. Feeling that slight stretch in the neck. Don't push it too far. Just go until you feel that stretch. The more you do this, the more flexible your neck will be. Don't forget to breathe as you move. Keeping in mind that movement principle of slow, smooth, and continuous. Hands to our sides. Now let's roll our shoulders. Small circles, thinking the size of a quarter. And then roll those shoulders back. Roll forward.
That always feels good.
I know, it's like a massage you give yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you really take that shoulder big, which is not our intention in Tai Chi, but you know, it takes it up to a different notch and really stretching those back muscles. I always know what muscles these movements stretch or work because I'm always sore somewhere. Me and my daughter did a exercise called Let's Try Abs. It was an ab exercise. And I'm sore, and she told me this morning that she's so sore.
Wow.
Like, what do we do with our bodies?
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So let's do that big shoulder circle where we bring our hands up and then we push them down. And this is a great one to practice breath. Inhale as you come up. And exhale as you push down. Even a good way to practice that gentle resistance as if you're moving through water. When I was at that conference, there was a girl who did Tai Chi, and it was the same Tai Chi that I do. And she used the word floating on the Tai Chi moves. And I thought, oh, well, that's a nice word. I haven't used that word. But when you think floating through the air, you know, it gives it a different kind of feeling. All right, for our spine, let's have our ball. Our hands are facing each other. Shoulders are relaxed. We're going to take the hand that's on top of our ball, push down towards the ground, and the other comes up and pushes up towards the ceiling. Really stretching that spine. Come back to our ball and switch. I do this move as soon as I get out of bed, just stretching my spine, just really giving that, all those places, some, what are they called? Vertebrae, some space to breathe, I think of it, because they have to get smooshed down against each other. So stretching that out really makes a difference.
This helps me out because the doctor told me that I'm losing some colic. I can't think of the word. but in my neck, right under my neck, in one of those vertebrae.
Is it?
So sometimes when sleeping, I get that pain. And
Oh,
so this helps me,
well,
with that.
good. Is it cartilage?
Yeah, cartilage. Mhm.
Cartilage.
And
Um,
one, I forget which one it was, but it's right below the neck.
whew. Seems
Yeah.
like once you start having those kind of problems, is there anything that they can do?
They didn't give me any suggestions.
Gotcha. I didn't know if there was like a supplement or something that you can take that helps you with collagen. I mean, I did like you. I said that I switched my word, cartilage.
Yeah,
Because there is something that some people take that's called collagen, but I don't know why they take it.
right. I have an appointment on Thursday. I'll ask that question. I should have
And
asked that question.
well, sometimes doctors seem to not really want to give us stuff that helps. They want to just give us medicine that masks the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's probably a discussion for a different day or platform.
Hmm.
Deep breath. All right. So now we're going to get to our hips, and that's when we start transferring weight. And if balance is an issue for you, then that's a good time to hold on to something stable that's nearby, whether it's a wall or a table or a chair. So first we shift the weight to whichever leg. We're going to place our heel out forward and our hands back. And pause and switch. Check your breath and make sure you're not holding it. Center, shift the weight, and then other leg, heel forward, pause, toe back. Back to center. Now shift in weight as we push our hands in the direction of the weight shift. Tapping that foot out, back, shift, tap. Notice I'm staying within my frame. I'm not leaning. Now, this is technically class 3. And if this is the first class, I'm speaking to anybody who's watching this and not here live. If this is the first class that you've seen, you might want to go back and watch the first 2 classes where I talk more in depth about each moves. And knees, we're going to make our loose fist down by our hips or our waist, wherever we're not holding tension. Shift, lift, tap, and punch. So I'm going to make an effort to not talk as much so that we can really enjoy the movements and explore the movements. I don't want to re-explain everything each time, just so we can do more. Slow, smooth, and continuous. That's what I had to remind myself, that I wasn't in a aerobics class where I was, kicking and shifting. The weight shifting, let's explore that for a second. The weight shifting and what we do is slow, and it allows our muscles to be the step in as stabilizers, not just strength muscles. And that's what really helps us with balance. But if we're in aerobics class and we're, that's kind of the same move if we were to do that in aerobics class. And that's a whole different experience with our muscles. So both have their reasons, but of course in Tai Chi, we're slow, smooth, and continuous. Next, we're going to shift our weight, step out forward, shift and punch, bring it back. So there's that weight shift front and back, and then side to side. We do that quite a bit of weight transfer, and that's when our principles and how we get the full benefits of our Tai Chi. Notice that my body stays upright. Even when I shift weight to the front foot, I'm not leaning forward, I'm staying upright. I'm really having a hard time slowing down today. Now for our ankles, heel, toe. Shift, heel, toe. Working on the mobility and flexibility of our ankles. Just kind of forget about those ankles. Big toe, little toe. I know I plan my workouts to cover all my different body parts, and I don't have one that's for ankles. That tells you that they kind of are forgotten about. They're a part of all kinds of different movements, but to have this focused stretch on them, side to side and front and back. All right, so those are our warm-ups. Do you have any questions or need any clarifications there?
No.
All right, so last time, excuse me if I say last week, last time we did commencement and open and close. So let's review those and then we'll add on to that. So we have commencement, and I'm going to do mirror image. You like mirror image, right, Miss Gwen?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I try to have a memory for who likes what, and I try to do a variety of, turned around and mirror image. Anyway, the mirror image for commencement is a step forward. Our lower body is to shift right. So we can step left, shift left, and bring that right foot forward. So that's the footwork of commencement. The handwork is our hands start out beside us. They're going to face each other the whole time. The amount of movement that you do in your wrist is completely up to you, based on how it feels to you, or just, your level of learning. So we're going to bring our hands up facing each other. Remember, we don't go higher than our shoulders, because then that's when we would start creating tension. We come down, in, up, out, and back in. This is where that word floating really makes sense, where we float up and down, in, up, out, and back. So that was cool for me to experience it with that word floating. Float up and down. Float almost seems easy, right? Floating, like there's no tension in the word floating. Remember that when we have our hands out, it's not straight out. There's that soft bend. So hands with the feet. When our hands come up, nothing's happening with our feet. It's when our hands come down that we shift right, step left, no weight. That's called an empty step. Bring those hands in, up. Now we're going to shift to that left foot as we take those hands out. Bring the right foot forward, and then our hands come back, and our second movement, open and close. Let's do that several times together. and commence. Up, down, shift right, step left, empty, hands come in and up. Now shift as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Couple more times to talk through, then we'll do it without talking. And commence. Hands come up, down, shift right, empty, step left, hands come in and up, shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. And commence. Up, down and shift, step in, up, shift as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Now remember, with open and close, it's a breath. It's an opportunity, if you've been holding your breath, to finally breathe. It's an opportunity to practice that gentle resistance, as if you're pulling and pushing an accordion or taffy, practicing that gentle resistance, practicing that breath. Also an opportunity to kind of check in with yourself, making sure you're not holding tension, or making sure your feet placement is right. In the beginning, it's not so bad, but whenever we get to starting stepping out and going places, it's easy to get your feet too close together or too far apart, and that open and close is an opportunity for us to regroup our stance. So open and close, and we do that throughout our movements. So let's do it a couple times without talking. And commence. And commence. Close. Doing it without talking gives us the opportunity to experience called Jing, J-I-N-G, and it's that mental quietness that you can't get if somebody's talking. So I encourage you to practice it and just have that mental quietness as you think through that movement of slow, smooth, continuous, thinking about that breath, gentle resistance. Man, this kind of seems silly to say mental quietness when I'm telling you to think about all those things. That doesn't necessarily make sense. So that's why Tai Chi is so great, because we can think of all the different principles with our movements and experience it differently, whether we're thinking about our pace of the movement or just thinking about the fact that we're moving and breathing, and that brings us a lot of just calmness within us, and that's that internal experience. All right, so let's move on. The next move that we do is called single whip. Now, with commencement, we only do that one time. We only do it one direction, meaning we only do it with a step out with our left foot. We don't do it both ways. We only do it that one way. But when we talk about single whip and waving hands in clouds, we do it all to the right first. We do a single whip and waving hands in clouds. Meet in the middle for open and close. And then we single whip and wave hands in clouds to the left. So that we do it both ways. So the first time we do single whip is to our right. and we shift weight to our, so we're coming from here, from open and close. We shift our weight to our right leg, and we're going to step out with our left. You know how big of a step feels stable and comfortable for you. I have my foot at an angle as I step out. Stepping forward is an option, but stepping out, you see how it kind of naturally turned my body in the direction of that foot. So we always refer to or defer to what feels most comfortable for you, but there's the shift and the step out, and we want to feel stable. So when we step out at that angle, our body turns in that direction. Our hands are here. We haven't done anything with those yet. Now it's our, and after we step out, we adjust our weight to now there's weight on both feet. So let me back up. I shift left. No, that's my right. I'm sorry. Mirror image. I shift right, I step left. Push, turn, and separate. That's what that whole movement looks like. I got myself all messed up, don't I? So in real life, if I'm going this way, I shift, step, adjust. I knew I was doing that wrong. I was like, no, I don't think. Okay. I wasn't lying very good to you. I'm supposed to be a much better liar. Oh, goodness. So I know that I'm going to the right, which is totally that way. My first time I do single whip is that way. And the foot that I step out with is in that direction in which I'm going to be stepping for my waving hands and clouds. So that's the direction I go, right, all day long, right. So when I shift left, it's this wonderful leg right here, my left leg. Oh, sheesh. Left, and I'm going to step right. There it is. That's our first move. Shift left, step out right. Now adjust the weight. Now I feel like I'm back with it. It's been a while. Shift, step, adjust. So now we have weight on both legs. We're in a nice stable stance. Our body is upright in that the beginning of that single whip. Our hands are here. So nothing's happened yet with that, with our hands. They're just sitting here when we shift left, step right, adjust the weight. So all my hesitation was going, that's not right. That's not right. Now we're right. So once we adjust that weight and we're nice and stable, now it's time to do something with our hands. So those hands go out as they're still facing each other, still with that soft bend. We turn them away from us, and now we're going to like separate, and our eyes are going to follow that left hand. But both hands open up. If you forget to open up this right hand and you're only moving your left, then you're robbing yourself of a nice stretch for that full movement. And it's easy to forget about that hand that's not doing anything, or that you're not looking at. It's easy to leave it not doing anything. So there that is. Now push away, turn, and separate, opening both hands as your eyes and head follow your left hand. So that feels a lot like the movement that we stretch our neck in the beginning, because we're looking towards that shoulder. We're following that hand, but we're moving that neck towards that shoulder. So you should feel a nice stretch in your neck, and then an opening of your chest. So as your back muscles contract, your chest opens. That's that full movement here. When you get to the end of that movement and your elbows come down as like a period, at the end of that opening here, boom, period. Sometimes you'll hear people call it, sometimes I'll say sink, like a period. So it's shift left, step right, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, opening both hands, sink. Once we get to the end of that opening, we shift our weight to our left foot. We bring our right foot back, and you can bring both hands down. Yeah, or you can leave this left hand up. It's getting ready to come down as you step out. So it's a matter of when you're bringing that hand down to go into waving hands and clouds. Let's practice that again. Open and close, weights on both legs. I shift left, I step out right, adjust my weight, push, turn, separate, following that left hand, sink. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. And that gets us ready for waving hands and clouds. Again, single whip. Shift left, step out right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, following that left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. Let's add it to commencement and open and close. And commence. Up, down. Open, close. Single whip. All right, and again from the top, commence, up, down and shift, step, in, up, shift as we go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close, single whip, shift, step, adjust, push, turn, separate, following that left hand, sink, shift, bring that right foot, right hand back. How's that?
Great.
We're doing great on time. I told you I was in like speed mode. Well, I know that you have experience with it, so I don't feel so inclined to drag. But even if you do have experience, then if I'm confusing you, then let me know. Because that doesn't mean you never have questions just because you've done it before.
Yeah.
And just because I've done it before doesn't mean I won't make a mistake. Oh, goodness. I didn't know it was going to be challenging. Huh?
It's bringing everything back because I haven't done it. It's just coming back.
That's kind of how I feel too. I'm like, oh, teaching virtually is so different than teaching in person. So I'm kind of, I got so good at teaching mirror image, and now I just feel all kinds of backwards. I'm looking. All right, so again, from the top and commence. Hands come up, down, shift right, step left, empty step, hands come in and up, shift as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift left, step right, adjust the weight, push, turn, separate, following that left hand, sink. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. So that gets us ready for waving hands and clouds. We know waving hands and clouds is one of my favorite pull-out moves for all the principles and for all the benefits. If you just pull out waving hands and clouds, it's going to help improve your balance and coordination and strengthen your muscles because you're doing a weight shift. As you step, shift, follow step, shift, step, shift, follow step. So we're stepping to the side. That's our body structure principle of weight transfer. That's what helps our muscles get stronger, helps them be stabilizer muscles. That helps improve our mobility and stiffness because we're moving. And then the sheer nature of the waving in hands clouds movement, upper body movement, which looks like this, is relaxing. So it helps reduce stress and anxiety. Even if we just sit down, forget the leg movement, but just breathe as we move side to side. Bring one hand down, one hand up. Just the circular motion or nature of that motion is relaxing. So when we start putting the feet and the hands together, I just feel like it's just 100% following Tai Chi principles to get the full benefits. So hands down, favorite move if you just want to pull out one. So you can separate it out. Like I said, you can do just the stepping. You can step until you hit a wall, and you can step to the other side until you hit another wall. You can practice it that way. And so that's what we'll do first, is just that stepping. Yes, we're coming from that single whip where we just brought that right foot back. And with that right foot back, all of our weight is on the left. We're going to step out with that right foot. So that's our first step of our waving hands and clouds movement to the right. And when we step out, and this is something that that's different from person to person. How much of a step do you take where you still feel stable and comfortable, shifting the weight, and then a follow step? Shift, step, shift, step. So you really want to get a personal feel for how big your step is and how big your follow step is. Because if you step way too far, then it's hard to shift the weight without having to kick off. We want to try to stay in our frame as best, just barely outside of our hips, so that when we do the follow step, we're back at our hips or our shoulders. Shift. That's kind of an ideal space, but just play around with it as you Tai Chi walk sideways. Step, shift, follow step, shift. This is one reason I like to practice in a mirror, or now I'm in view of my camera, so I can really see my steps. I find it interesting that whenever we really, like in instruction times, man, I'm boss about my space. And then when I start really practicing, sometimes my feet get a little closer. My steps aren't as big. So I revert to what feels most natural when I start doing the move. So just practice that stepping side to side, regardless of whether our waving hands and clouds goes to the right or left first, which it goes to the right. But just practicing that stepping. This is one of those moves that you'll start really noticing balance. And so you can get sore slowly walking side to side. Because it's testing your balancing muscles. I mean, they're the same muscles, they're just used in different ways depending on our activity. And sometimes we get weak in the stabilizing side of our muscles. So that's the footwork of waving hands and clouds. And how many steps do we take? 3. But it's 3 times 2, so you can think of 6. We brought that right foot in. So now we're getting technical on the movement, not just the nature of the movement. Where we step out, that's 1. Shift, follow step. You can count that as a 1, 2, or a 2, however you count. 1, 1, shift. There's 2, shift, 2, shift, 3, shift, 3. Now, if you accidentally do 4, it's okay. Nobody's going to arrest you. Sometimes I lose count of how many I've done. I'm really trying to get into that movement of being slow and smooth and continuous. And next thing I know, I go, is that 3 or 4? And then I'm like, well, just do 1 more. It's no big deal. So don't be hard on yourself if you find yourself not knowing if that's 3 or 4. Okay. So 3 it is. At the end of single whip, we have shifted and we have brought that right foot, right hand down and back. So we step right, shift, follow step, shift, step, shift, follow step, shift, step, shift, follow step. That's where I just went. Is that 2 or 3? Is that 3 or 4? I did a time check and lost count. So usually I can tell by how far I've stepped on camera of how many I've done. So that's the numbers, that's the leg work. Our hands, remember our little Post-it note? Hold on, I'm gonna show it to you. It'll be backwards, but this is my Post-it note. It says step, and then beside it says empty, which means you step, but you don't give weight to it. Then you switch, you change your hands, then you turn, or is that wave, and then shift. Of course, the shifting is the weight. So these are our 4 words that we work with. To see if there's a way I can. Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah.
I got all this stuff up here. Tell you what, I think I could attach it to it somehow.
Yeah.
Hold on. It'd be real cool if I could, to where y'all could see it.
Yeah, you almost had it right.
Oh, everything's like hold your tongue a certain way. All right, I gotta move it up. Let's see if that will stay. At least give us an idea of the name or the movement. So here let's redo our single whip where we shift left, stepped right. Oh, it's gonna fall. Push, turn, separate. Here. Try to fix it. I think it's lost its sticky. We might have to write this down as Mama tried. Okay, If it falls this time, I'll do better for next class. So we finish. I need it though to make sure I'm saying the right words because I don't trust myself today. All right. Single whip, shift left, step right, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, following that left hand, sink. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back, waving hands in cloud. So here starts our 4 words. Step. Now let's switch our hands. Switch. Now we turn, shift, step, switch, 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 turn. See why we can't remember 3 or 4? Step, switch, turn, because there's so many words as we are learning, and make sure we know these moves. And then we come for our open and close. But that's the words, and I'm going to figure out how to rig this up so that you can see these words. Or I may do a big poster and hang it behind me.
Yeah.
I would have to write it backwards, wouldn't I? Ooh, I got things to do. Okay. So that's good though, because that means I still have things to learn. But those are our words, and that's what I think of whenever I'm doing waving hands in clouds, is those 4 words in that order. In the name of smooth and continuous, I can put 2 of those words together where I step and switch, turn and shift, 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 step and switch, turn and shift. And that makes it easier to keep up with 1, 2, and 3, and not 4. And then that helps you be more continuous. Huh?
That's better. I like that one better.
I like it better. Is step and switch, turn and shift. And you can see I have like brackets because that's how you put those together. So if it helps in the beginning to just do 1 at a time, that's fine. Nothing's wrong with it. But we try to make it more continuous and not so choppy. So step and switch and then turn and shift. But I guess I didn't stop and just do the hands. Whenever we finished the single whip and we brought this down. So that's our starting point of waving hands in clouds. And when we do that switch or that change hands, this hand comes down by our hips like it's hitting a drum. And this hand that's by our hips comes up cross body, kind of like a sash. And that gets us ready to turn. Then this hand comes down by our hips. This hand comes up cross body, turn. Do it again. This hand comes down. This hand comes up. So the change hands is like that. Here, turn, change hands, turn. It's very robot-like whenever you're instructing it here. And as you learn that move and get more comfortable with that move, then you can make it a little more circular. See how it got less harsh in the lines. And this is just what I mean with just practicing the upper body movement by itself. It's much like our spinal stretch. See how I'm using that torso movement? When you make it more smooth and continuous and not choppy, it has a different feel. But choppy is what we do when we're first learning it. And then the more we practice, the smoother it gets. So I jumped right into combining the two, but that's that movement separated out. To me, it feels differently whenever you're adding it to the legs. All right, so here we are getting finished our single whip to do our waving hands and clouds, where we step and switch, turn and shift, 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 and then the middle for open and close. Waving hands and clouds. Let's do it again. Try to transition into more of that smooth movement. Single whip, push, turn, separate, sink, shift, right foot, right hand back. Here we go. Waving hands and clouds. Our attempt at smooth. Open and close. Favorite move in our basic 6. Let's put it together from the top and then we'll cool down. It's 10:56. All right, here we, is that what time you have, Miss Gwen? It's 10:56, or do you have a time?
I don't have it.
Because my phone says 10:56, my watch says 10:56, but my computer says 10:54. So I don't know what time it is.
It's 10:56.
Okay, good. I think Verizon wins this time. Whatever my computer is on doesn't win today. All right, from the top and commence. Up, down and shift. Empty, in, up, shift, forward, follow step, bring it back, open, close. Single whip, shift, step, adjust, push, turn, separate, sink, shift, waving hands and clouds, step and switch, turn and shift. Open and close. And close it out. How about that? It's all coming back to you, right?
Right.
So we did more than I intended on doing today, which is completely not a problem. We will do our single whip and waving hands and clouds to the other side next week, and we'll practice that full movement of our basic 6. But let's cool down by beating or giving ourselves a little fist massage. We're not beating our legs. Nice fist massage. Depending on how stretchy your pants are, you can bring your knee up. Also depends on how your comfort in raising your knee with balance. You can hold on to a chair or table. and raise that knee up higher to break up that lactic acid. So that's our first cool down movement. Next, we create tension to remind ourselves that is not how we like our bodies, and then we intentionally let it go because tension causes pain. So here's our tension and then letting it go. And let it go. In that movement, I like to inhale and hold my breath as I hold that tension, and then exhale as I let that tension go. So one thing that Tai Chi gives us is body awareness. And throughout your day, just check in with your body. Make sure you're not holding tension. Two places I personally hold it is in my shoulders. I'll catch myself pulling my shoulders up, and then I'll catch myself clenching my jaw. Both can cause pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches. So just give yourself a run through. Have that body awareness so you can go ahead and release tension and save yourself a headache or any kind of pain if possible. Same thing with how you're carrying your weight. Try to keep that weight on both legs. Separate those feet out versus popping that hip and really holding that weight off that hip joint, locking knees. Those are other things that can cause pain. So just be aware of how you're holding your body and holding your weight. Let's give us a good breath up as we bring our hands up, and exhale as we push them down. Big shoulder circle, same thing we did in the beginning. Again, the idea of floating, I like that word. And to end our class, we have our right fist that represents our strength. Oh, mirror image. Left fingers together, that's our friendship. Our thumb comes in, that represents our humility. We put those together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste. Miss Gwen, I don't know, have you seen, I know you were in and out that first class, but did you see the shirts?
Yes.
Okay. I have 3 shirts now. So if you do 10 classes, then I'll let you pick what shirt you want. The pink, the blue, or the gray.
Okay.
But they're nice. I like them.
Yeah, those are pretty.
All right. You have any questions for me?
No, doing great. Doing great.
Okay.
Good
Well,
to be back.
I'm back in pocket. My physically I'm back in pocket. I'm working on the mental stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm glad to be back. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I really wouldn't, because I thought about it and I'm like, well, where else would you want to be anywhere else? And I like what I do. So yes, I'm glad to be here. All right, darling. Well, you know how to get in touch with me. So if you need me in the meantime, just let me know. And if not, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Great.
Okay. Love you, Miss Gwen.
You too, Jennifer.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.